Check my TV.
Haiko.
Haiko.
Okay. See. And there you Hello, if you're joining me for the first time, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. I was just testing the Uber. Good. If you're joining for the first time, subscribe to this live video. My name is Petra. Subscribe. Let's talk about Kenyan politics. Kenyan politics. Do you think that the combination between Edwin Sifuna and Ndindi Nyoro, or Edwin Sifuna and Kalonzo Musyoka, or Edwin Sifuna and Rigathi Gachagua can deliver Kenya? Do you think the duo can deliver Kenya? Do you think the duo can deliver Kenya? Because where we stand as a nation, there is a lot of confusion. There are a lot of things that are going on. But the fact still remains that if we as a nation, we cannot stand in the gap and save the nation, okay? If we cannot stand in the gap and save our nation, it will be so hard for us. Okay, it will be so hard for us as a nation, because we need to know between the top five, who can stand with President Ruto at the ballot and win the elections, because it is not a walk in the path. It is not a walk in the path. I want to hear your comment in the comment sections. I want to hear your mind in the comment section. What can we do as a nation? What can we do as a nation for us to have different leaders? Because the way it stands now, nobody knows what is going on in this nation. So me, as a young politician in Kenya, I will prefer that if Edwin Sifuna stands and Fred Matiang'i, Edwin Sifuna or Fred Matiang'i, so they can be deputized by, let's say Edwin Sifuna can be deputized by Rigathi or Ndindi Nyoro. So if we choose those three, we can find that our nation will be in a good place. And those are the people that can at least stand with President Ruto, and one of them can win. But if we don't put the right person as the presidential candidate next year, if we don't put the right person, it will be a walkover, because President Ruto has strategy. He has strategy for governance. So if we just choose someone that is not strong enough, that can carry the day, we will have the same people in government. And let me tell you something, you my viewers. Me, I'm a millennial, so we understand most of the things that have been happening in the nation of Kenya. And one of them is that we always go to the ballot to choose our person, rather than choosing a person that can stand for the nation. rather than choosing a person that can deliver a nation, somebody that can bring change in our nation. Because most of the time we choose leaders that most of the time they do the work, they work for the people, and they take everything that belongs to the people. Look, for example, like educational sector. Me, while I was growing under the regime of President Moi. So I remember the school fees that my mother used to pay in a year was it 800 to 900 shillings in a year. And in those days, we had milk, free milk in school. We had, but no free books. But everything, life was a bit easier. Everything was fine in those days. Because I remember when I was, though when we went to school, my days when we went to school, we were going with the ni unaenda na miguu tupu, unaenda kifagia chini those days. So most of the time in our days, we used to love school. In fact, we were going to school because you knew after you finished your school, you will become somebody in life. So in this generation that we are in a generation where another community fights another community. If it is not of the other community, another community cannot take the leadership of the nation, which is very wrong. Look, as a nation, we need to look for someone that has ideologies, somebody who has sharp minds to change the nation, because this nation needs to be changed. When you look at the health sector, it has a problem. When you look at the agricultural sector, it has a problem. When you look at different sectors in this nation, nothing is working. I'm telling you the truth. Apart from those people that are in power, they are enjoying what they have. But we as the natural people, the natural men under the government, we are suffering. People are suffering. I went to another house for another lady. That lady, she's washing clothes to people so that she can feed her family. So this lady got 300 shillings after washing clothes for someone. So this 300 shillings, she needed to to save fare there, suppers, some small money for the other child to carry tomorrow to go with, let's say, in school. So you find that it is true. Life is very difficult. In Kenya right now, people are suffering. Life, it is not easy. It is not easy for everyone. Let me tell you. If you find someone that can afford 3 meals in a day, that is somebody that is at least doing better. Because right now, if you are living, a low average person can spend, let's say, 500 shillings per day. A low average person can spend 500 shillings in a day. So it shows you that if your income is small, you cannot sustain your family. That's why you see most parents are taking their children to the day school, or they are taking them to public schools, because they cannot afford to take their children in private schools. Where will you get that money? If your salary is 20,000 and you have 3 children, where will you take those children? You cannot afford to pay their private school. You cannot. So that's why you find that most families are struggling to cope with life. But now the president that we have in power right now, you know, when you are in power, you are overwhelmed with power. You don't care what people are saying. You don't care whether people are crying. The reason why you see the goonism in Kenya has risen, it is because most of those goons, they don't have jobs. I tell you the truth, most of them, they don't have jobs. So if they find someone who can give them 2,000, 1,000, 3,000 to go and make and do havoc somewhere, they will accept it and they go and beat people. Why? At least in that day, they have received 2,000. Now, this is my question. So, if you, as a person, you are chosen to be a president, what can you do to this nation? What can you bring on the table as a person? What have you seen that can be rectified? Because sometimes our president have advisors who I don't think if they understand what common mwananchi is going through. Look here. One thing that our great fathers, Kina Daniel, Moi, Raila, and the other people, what they were fighting for this nation, most of the time when you hear their speeches, they were talking about the unity of this nation. Look here, the Kikuyus, the Luos, the Waluyas, the Kambas, the Koch, the Dirigos, we are all one as a nation. We are not supposed to fight each other. Look here, there is something that me, myself, you could, if you could have asked me, I could have advised Mzee Gachagua. Rather than fighting President Ruto, he could come up with something that can come up with something that can change the nation. He can come up with a narrative that can save the nation, not the narrative of one term. Come up with something. For example, when Ruto was coming into power, Ruto came with a slogan, a hustler nation, bottom up. So he can come up with something, not just removing Ruto from office. We can remove Ruto from office and the nation continues to suffer the same way we are suffering. My friend, let me tell you, people are suffering. Look right now. If you go to the supermarket, the small milk, that small milk, the small one, not 500 ml. Now it is something to do, it goes to, is it 55? Yeah, something to do with 55 shillings. Look at the sugar prices, everything is high. So you cannot tell me that if you choose right now, you choose Gachagua to become president of Kenya, there is a change that he will bring. The reason why Gachagua is fighting Ruto, it is for Ruto to get out of power. So if Ruto gets out of power, what plan does he have for this nation? What plan does he have to bring to the people of Kenya? Because we need change. And the change we need change in every sector in this nation. We cannot just sit down and say, okay, if Gachagua is the president, Fred Matiang'i is the deputy president, now everything will work out well. Look here people fight for their own community. And we need to come out of that situation whereby we lead because of our community. Whether the Kikuyus are in power, me as Luo, I depend on that. Whether the Luos are in power or the Western people are in power, what I need is good life. I need to have money in my pocket. I need to go to the market and buy food at a cheaper price. I need to take my children to school and pay affordably. I need to live well. I need to live in an environment that is conducive, there is security, there is good life. That is what I want. It's not about we want to remove Ruto from power. Why? Because he has done this, he has done that. We as a nation, we need to think about tomorrow. Now, Sifuna is coming to your county. You need to ask him a question. Sifuna, yes, you have come here. Remove the slogan one time aside. What are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing? What kind of change are you bringing? Ruto came with affordable housing. Ruto came with SHA. Ruto came with the building, making our nation a construction ground. So Ruto came with his own strategy of leading or governing the nation. So you as Gachagua, what kind of leadership are you bringing? What change are you bringing? What are you bringing that is totally different from that of Ruto? Are you dealing with the economy? Are you dealing with infrastructural? Are you dealing with what? So you need to come up with the ideas that can bring change to our nation. Okay, so I think the issue here is we will continue singing one term until next year, June, singing one term. Ruto must go, Ruto must go. Then what? So after removing him from office, then what? We need to ask ourselves as a nation. Look, we have political analysts who have intelligence and they have good mind, they have good brains. I think it is the right time as a nation, we need to have a dialogue as a nation. What kind of leaders do we want as a nation? What kind of leaders? Do we want leaders that when they enter power, they bring their community into power? Do we want leaders that when they enter power, they consider their friends into power? Do we want leaders when they enter power, they consider their own stomachs? So we as a nation, we need to have a talk for this nation to go forward. We need to have a talk as a nation, because if we don't put this in consideration, look here, even in 2027, we will select and elect the same leaders and there will be no change. I remember when we were under President Moi, people were saying Moi must go, Moi must go. Everyone was saying Moi must go, Moi must go. Then in 2002, Moi was removed from power. And we remember well, Moi was removed from power. Then after that, Kibaki took over. So when Kibaki took over, Kibaki tried and brought change until 2007, where there was post-election violence. Things then changed from there. Then we said now Kibaki atumtaki tena, now we want another president. So we went to Kenyatta. And that time I remember they were, I think, at Hague. They had a case at Hague. So at that time, most of the Kenyans rallied behind them. Why? Because of the sympathy that our own were going to be jailed in Hague. So most Kenyans voted for them and they become president and deputy president. That is Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. So after coming into power, what did they do? We know now what they did. They brought their friends into power. They brought their friends here and there into power. Then along the way, William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta hawakuelewana. So when they didn't agree, Ruto decided now to be on top of cars every day. Hustler nation, hustler narrative for more than 2 years, campaigning for more than 2 years without doing any work. Now, after we finished, then people now saw that it was not good for Raila to become president. So they decided to choose who? They decided to choose Ruto. Ruto became a president of this nation. Everybody was crying, ni si uchawi, ni Mungu, ni maombi, ni maombi, ni maombi. Nobody saw the bad side of William Ruto. Nobody saw. So all of us, we all supported William Ruto to become the president. Now, after election, what did William Ruto do? Ruto and Gachagua, they went and selected their friends to to have positions in government. Do you remember when he came to power 2023? When they came to power, they chose their friends to become leaders in the government. So they worked, everything was okay. Now Gachagua was chased away from the government. After Gachagua was chased away from the same thing now is happening. Gachagua is now talking ill against President Ruto. Why? Because now the Kenyan people now will put their focus on Gachagua. Now Kenyans will choose Gachagua to become the president of this nation. Then after choosing Gachagua to become the president of this nation, now what next? So if Gachagua refuses to do what you want to do, so you will also again say, we don't want Gachagua, now we want Sifuna. What is it with Kenyans? Why don't we sit down and select leaders? We need to have leaders that we can, for example, I had Dindi Nyoro yesterday. That man, that is a brilliant Kenyan. That man is very brilliant. So if we can have a president like Dindi Nyoro, me, I'm telling you, I'm comfortable. If we can have a president like Dindi Nyoro or Edwin Sifuna, I can be comfortably enjoy life in Kenya. I'm telling you the truth. I will comfortably enjoy life in Kenya. Why? When you see these small boys, when you see them, they have great mind. These people have great future. When you put them into power, these people will bring change to this nation. I tell you the truth. They will bring change to this nation. Okay, but you cannot just go away and say, oh, William Ruto is bad. William Ruto, look here. If William Ruto is bad, I remember my wife was pregnant and I took her to the hospital, and she had CS. She had CS, so I didn't have money. The total money that I had only 5,000 shillings. I know you will say that SHA is not working. But for me, SHA did work for me. Why? When I took my wife to the hospital, I didn't have money. Then after they were asking for 71,000 for that CS. They were asking for 71,000. The SHA paid for me 30,000. So I was able to raise the other. So if there was no SHA, I couldn't pay. Singeweza kulipa hiyo do kama hakungekuwa na SHA. So what I want to tell you as a nation, okay, I want to tell you something as a nation. Tunaenda kwa uchaguzi. We are gearing towards the 2027 election. We need to choose leaders who will lead us well. Not leaders that will look after kwetu si kupower, they will look after their counties. Like for example, I saw Homa Bay. Kumejaa vumbi hivi. And they are in government, but kwa kumejaa vumbi hivi. If there is something that we should know, we should not choose leaders because there is someone that has said, huyu leader wacha akae hapo kwa uongozi. We have leaders. For example, you can have a wife. We have wives in our houses that you have a wife that is very dirty. You have a wife that is very organized. You have a wife that knows how to cook. You have a wife that, so many people, all of us, we have different wives in our houses. So there is someone that you can choose to be a leader of a nation. Then this leader, yeye kwake, you know very well, this man is not somebody that can build. He cannot build even a small house. So don't expect him to build a house. So when you are choosing a leader, choose a leader that is someone that you can, it can be, you can put your trust in them. For example, let's say MP like MP Babu Owino. Babu Owino has done a lot of things in Embakasi East here. That Babu Owino has done a lot of things, whether it's CDF, what. Babu Owino has done a lot in Eastern, in Embakasi East. So someone like that, when you put him as a governor, it shows you that there are things, and even the roads in Embakasi East are good. They're not bad. They are good. When you take that person and you put him as a governor, at least he has a track record. This man, you will know that at least he has done something. Okay, he has done something. So you know, and you know very well that he will do something. Okay, I'm not campaigning for Babu Owino, but I'm just saying what I've seen. When you go, for example, to Kiambu, it's called who? Governor Wamatangi. What Governor Wamatangi has done, I wish those kind of people are the ones that are in government. Let's say, for example, you choose somebody like Governor Wamatangi, or the other one for is it for Kiambu? The other guy, I don't know him. Anaitwa nani? Huyu mwenye aliumia miguu. There is another governor ambaye is doing also well. Nimesahau jina yake, alitoka UDA juzi. That governor also, those are the kind of brains that when we have in the government, we will have a clear and a focused nation. You see, there is something that Didi Nyoro talked about, mambo na free education from primary to secondary education. You don't need to overtax Kenyans for you to have a free education. This is something that can be done, okay? This is something that can be done. And most of our children can go to school freely. Me, I remember my brothers, my younger brothers, wakati wa Kibaki, they went to school. Then there was a school, free primary and free education, free secondary education. Ungechukua mtoto kutoka home, anaenda shuleni, anapewa bag, anaenda tu na bag, anapewa vitabu na kalamu, okay? And the government was sustaining that. No one went home. You see, no one went home. So we as a nation, we need to rethink, are we doing the right thing? Are we choosing the right leaders? We have great leaders in this nation. Kindly, let us focus on that. Let us focus on that. Tusikue na ile machungu ndani ya roho. Oh, kama si Gachagua, there is nothing. Oh, sisi kama Wakikuyu, lazima tukue na mtu wetu hapo. Hapana, it's not about kukua na mtu wetu kwenye uongozi. Tukue na mtu mwenye, tukienda kwake tutapata usaidizi. A president that can come to the people. A president of the people. A president that hears the cry of a nation. A president that wakati amesikia kwamba kuna watu ambao wanalala njaa, himself he can go there na angalie what is the situation and he can solve the situation. That is the kind of a leader. Look, it is not about my tribe. It's about leadership. In leadership, you must be someone of integrity. You must be someone that can sympathize with others. You must be someone that can sympathize. Yes, the nation of Kenya is big, and that's why we have the county government, the devolved county governments. So the devolved county units, if you say today, I become a president today, for example, I will make sure that the 47 governors are closer to me. That is something that I will do. I will make sure that the 47 governors are closer to me. Why? Because I will make sure ya kwamba watu wa Kiambu ni nini wana lack. Watu wa Kirinyaga ni nini wana lack. Watu wa Kisumu nini wana lack. Watu wa Coast, Pwani nini wana lack. Me as a president, I'll make sure that I work with the governor. Even if that is a devolved unit, I'll work with the governor to make sure that the people of that county feels nice. Whether it is schools, whether it is what, I will make sure that they, and let me tell you, a good president and a president that fights corruption is a president that is accountable to everything that he does. Now, for example, let's say, county kama Kisumu, Okay, the county governor of Kisumu is a corrupt governor. What will I do as a president? Sinikumuita State House. Oh yeah, come. Bring yourself. Why are you corrupt? Why is this? Why is this happening in your county? Kwa nini watu wajalipwa? Kama sasa for example, kama Kisumu, is it Siaya? Siaya nasikia watu wajalipwa mpaka today. And national government imekuwa ikitoa do ya kwenda kwa county. Kwa nini? What is Orengo doing in Siaya? Why is he not giving money to the workers? Look, it is my cry as a humble Kenyan that we need to prioritize some things rather than one term. What is one term? Yes, you will sing one term. Then after one term, you will go to another term. So the other term is for Wamunyoro. So what will Wamunyoro help benefit or bring to the table of the coast people? What will Wamunyoro bring to the people of Alego? What will Wamunyoro bring to people of South Nyanza? So we need to think as a nation. It is a high time. Me, I'm not on any side. I'm just saying this is a collective thing. Look here, before you know it, any person that opposes the government, those people are in government secretly. They oppose the government during the day, but in the night they are called in secret meetings. They meet in secret meetings and they talk. Oh yeah, hapo nao uliguza mali pabaya. Hapo nao ulienda sana. Look here, these people are very wise. So they make you as the people of Kenya, you fight each other, but wao wakikutana kule juu. Look, who knew ya kwamba Raila was to come into the government? Who knew? You remember wakati kulikuwa na maandamano, wakati alikuwa anapigwa marisasi huko inaitwa aje, Mukuru kwa Jenga, if you can remember that story. Jamani, moshi tu, marisasi, sijui nini kwa gari. But look, the guy came to the government and talked with President Ruto, and he has now, is it like 4-5 people in government at the same time? So politics is not for enmity. It is for development and growth and democracy of a nation. So when you play your politics, be wise in what you say to people. When you want your politics to be mature, make sure that you bring ideologies that relate to the common man. For example, is it food security? Nini wa Kenya wana lack? Bring that to the table. Is it watoto wamekosa kwenda shule? Like for example, when you go to Homa Bay right now, small girls na Kitui, small girls wanashikashika mimba. Why? Because if the parents don't have money, what will the girls do? They will go sleep outside. They will go sleep with men for them to get money. Okay? So as a nation, we need to sit and think, how can we heal this nation? What can we do? And mimi na blame wazee ambao mko huku mnasikiza hii government au mnasikiza venye watu wanapayuka. Wazee, you need to bring things into order in this nation. Wazee, I can say it. Wazee wa Nyanza, wa Pwani, wa Western, wa Kamba, let's gather together. Wazee, calm down. Mushuke, then museme ya kwamba this is what we want in our nation, because the way our nation is being led is not right. This is what we want as a nation. Even if there are institutions that are mandated, for example EACC, there are NHIC, NCIC ambazo zinadina hizo nini, call up the meeting. Mahali kuna wazee hapakosi jambo. So when wazee sits down and they talk and they say, now this is what we want as a nation. Okay, we want a leader that one, a leader that two, a leader that three. Vitu kama hizi gunism haziwezi kuwa. Okay, hizi mastori za gunism haziwezi kuwa kwa nchi. We need proper and serious wazee, even if hata kama ni wazee 300, let them gather somewhere and they decide that this is the direction of our nation. If we are electing Ruto, this is what we want as a nation. If we are electing Gachagua kuwa rais, this is what we want as a nation. So me, I direct my point to wazee, wale wazee, okay, wale wa from 70 and above. Why don't you come and sit and decide on what we want as a nation? Because you can bring change. Wazee can bring change. Because mimi ukinichagua kama kijana, sijajenga kwetu. I tell you the truth, sijajenga. Nikiingia kwa uongozi, the first thing that I will do, I'll make sure that nimejenga kwetu smart. Obvious. Na obvious niko na wale jamani nilikuwa nasoma na wao chuo, nitakuja na walete kwa gava. Unaona, hata wao wachune, unaona? Because when you run a government, for example, let's say when the budget making is made, then let's say in this financial year, the government, or the side of the government, now we have like let's say 1 trillion. Me as a president, we have 1 trillion in my office as a president. Niambie nitafanya nini? My friend, tazunguka hii nchi yote. 1 trillion is not a small money. That's why I can call you into my state house. I can call you to the state house for me to give you small money here and there. 1 trillion cannot end today. From hii mwezi mpaka, from now mpaka next year mwezi wa sita. Hiyo pesa haiwezi isha. Okay? It cannot end. So the thing is, as a nation, we need to think. As a nation, we need to refocus. As a nation, we need to re-strategize. What do we want as a nation? It's not about politicians. Politicians hao wamesoma hizi vitu shule, then wako na chuki na kila mwenzao. Huyu ako na chuki na yule, huyu ako na chuki na yule. So kila mtu anataka ya kwake. But no one is interested in you as a common mwananchi. Wakati sukari ilipanda bei, imepanda kwa Wakikuyu, imepanda kwa Wajaluo. Wakati mafuta imepanda bei, imepanda kwa Mzungu, imepanda kwa Mjaluo. So we as a nation, what are we doing? So we suffer the same. So we need to come and sit as a nation and think and decide that this is what we want as a nation. Okay, this is what we want as a nation, and our nation will move forward. Our nation will, we need people that are wise like Solomon. Umeona ya kwamba vitu zimeenda vibaya kama wakati wa corona. You remember venye Uhuru Kenyatta ali handle that situation. We didn't lose a lot of people in Kenya. We didn't lose many people in Kenya because the guy was wise. Okay, Agamo Glenn, hi, how are you? So President Ruto handled that issue well. So the same way, we have economical crisis now. How can our president handle this? Call people, go to people, enda kwa watu wa kawaida, understand their problems. Wachana na hao watu wenye wameshiba, wamejaza matumbo, wanaendesha Prado. Kuja kwa watu wa chini, kuja kwa mtu wa mama mboga. Hizi mboga ziko. Sasa ukienda for example kwa soko unapata hakuna nyanya. Kwa nini tunakosa nyanya za nation? Unaenda unapata kuna vitunguu. Tunakosaje hizi vitu kwa hii nchi? When you go to Uganda, food is there. Chakula iko hapo kama sijui nini. Mpaka wana export. What can we export as a nation? Mushene, udaku, ama we can export one time. As a nation, what can we export? We need to have something. Kama ni food basket yetu ikuwe sawa. What can we export as a nation? Yes, hata hii biashara ya miraa hii ya Wameru hapa imeshinda hii gava. Kama ni kutafuta biashara ya miraa, apart from Somalia, tutafute hata mpaka Ghana, tutafute hata Afrika mzima. We sell our kwanza, we make sure that the Meru ones, hao watu wa Meru wapate venye wanauza products zao. Naelewa. Ukienda Kisumu ndio wanatoa samaki. Hizo samaki zinaenda wapi? Lazima tutafute place zenye hizo samaki zinapelekwa. So as a nation we need to rethink on our strategies. We need to rethink and have focus as a nation. We are gearing to this 2027 election. So will we be fighting because of politicians? So kuna chuki between the Kikuyus and the Luos, or between the Kalenjins and the Kikuyus because one of us wants to stand as a president. Look here, I want to talk to Kalenjin people. Whether it is Ruto or not, whether it is Gachagua or not, whoever we will elect as the president of the nation must be someone that has intelligence to support or to promote every person in this nation. That should be our desire. The president that we will elect in 2027, it should become the president of the people. Okay? It should become the president of the people. And guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching this live. My name is Victor Wanda. Bye.